What's up, movers? I'm Coach Hal. Today we are looking at the drop-in. Drop-ins are going to be our loading a single leg and learning to drop into that hip, dropping in and opening the hip, holding and loading the pressure into the backside. And we're not going to quite work on a release or coming into the next landing phase. We want to get really good at loading a single leg. Thus far, we've done some access squats, we've done some air chairs. This is all bilateral movement, both feet on the ground. We are now going to take one foot, we're going to go into a split stance, and we are going to work on loading a single leg. This is going to be very good at teaching us and just getting into the idea of receiving the ground as we walk. Instead of stepping into the floor and getting this big jolt from the ground because we're just stomping our body and dumping our body into the ground, we want to get really good at loading and receiving the ground so we can protect our connective tissue and be kind to our joints, be kind to our body, our musculoskeletal system, learn to load and receive the ground. And once we get really good at loading and receive the ground, we can work into leaving the ground and then once again loading and receiving the ground. So this drop-in is a very, very good exercise to start incorporating and understanding what it's like to receive the ground. You can see what I've been doing right now is unassisted drop-ins. However, I would highly recommend when you first start drop-ins to find a support structure. We have walls, poles, sticks, broom handles, whatever it is that you have. Highly advise you getting into this. When we go from a bilateral movement to a single leg movement, it's going to call for more balance and more stability, and that's going to come with time. We first need to learn just how to create the pressure, how to build some strength, and once we have some more mobility, more strength, and learn how to create proper pressure and tension, then we can work on stabilizing and balancing. But first and foremost, let's learn to load properly. Let's learn to gain the strength in our backside on a single leg. And with that being said, let's be kind to ourselves, make it a little bit easier, and use the support structure. So let's take our left leg and drop it back to a split stance. I'm not going so drastically far back that I'm going into a lunge. It's just a simple 1 foot back. And notice that as I go back, I don't keep my foot straight, and I'm certainly not coming back here like we would see in a lot of people today with heels in, toes away, kind of walking in this reverse pattern. We want to start training the proper forward pattern of when I load this leg, my hip goes back and opens up, which inevitably is going to turn my femur, which turns my knee outward. And instead of having my knees going two different ways, I want the trailing leg, the previously leaving leg, that knee should be pointed in the same direction as this now loading leg. So we can see that my knees work in tandem, work in the same line. And as I were to come up here and get ready to leave the ground with this loaded leg and re-land, my knees are pointing in the same direction again. So let's be mindful of our trailing leg, that the heel is away. We're on the outer blade of the foot, not dumping into the toe here. Outer blade of the foot, heel is up and away. We don't want to do this movement with the heel down and learn this pattern. That's going to train this trail leg to pressurize the floor through the heel, which is what a lot of our modern fitness programs teach us to do, such as squatting, pressing through the heels to the floor, or a deadlift, pressing the heels through the floor. No, we don't want that. That's going to cause a lot of Achilles issues and work its way up the stream. We always want to be on the balls of our feet, pressurizing through the outside blade of the foot and through the balls of the feet, never pressurizing down through the heel. So when we get into this drop-in, I'm going to take my left leg, slight split stance back, heel is up, I'm playing on the outer blade of the foot, and then I'm gonna take this right foot, once again, right foot is trying to pull back through the ground. I'm pulling this foot back like I'm on a skateboard almost. I am just pulling back with this foot, pressure through the outside blade of the foot, even into the cuboid. And you can have this foot raised as well, but if you're just starting, you can have the heel in the ground for support. Once again, the majority of the pressure is not going through the heel, it's going through the outside blade of the foot, through the balls of the feet, and foot is pulling back, bringing the hip back with it. And you'll notice that the hip, it comes back and slightly down, back and slightly down. And as I bring my hip back and slightly down, I'm gonna pack my shoulder in with a slight side bend, bring my head into the column, and make sure that my head is directly in line over with my foot. No more, no less. Head into my column, and I'm just gonna play in this drop in, just load as far back as I can, bringing my hip back and down, loading this side, and I'm not gonna fully, I'm gonna pulse in here with micro movements. I'm not gonna pull so much that I'm coming out and hip thrusting, but I wanna stay back loaded into this hip, and I'm really just trying to open up and create more space. I'm opening and pulling back, creating more space for this hip to get deeper into the backside and open up wider. So I'm waxing and pressurizing my ability to open this hip and drive this hip back, creating more pressure. So if you're feeling pinching here in the front, maybe we need to do a little bit more of hip to the sky, hip back, and then come down. If you're burning and feeling too much pinching sensation in the low back, maybe there needs to be a slight tail tuck. Hip comes back and down. So let's get this view here. Can always take this hand and pull back. The more I pull back with this elbow and pack my shoulder back, the more I feel engagement into my hip. The more I just toggle my hip with my upper body not really moving, I'm not really doing a whole lot here, and I'm certainly not training myself getting ready to move. So we really need to make sure we're incorporating the whole body, make sure that we're packing the spine back, pulling the shoulder down and back. You can even get the elbow back here, and as you do this, you can really feel how this hip just comes back and opens up, back and open up. And I want to hold that pressure and just pulse here and just force more engagement, more recruitment, more loading, more opening, more space, pulling with the foot, lots of engagement in the foot, pulling down, ripping myself up while standing tall with my chest. This is the drop-in. Once again, we've been doing a very short split stance. The better you get at drop-ins, you can go into a big, long lunge. You can even keep your foot in front of you. There's lateral. There's lots of places for us to play with our drop-in. It doesn't really matter where the leaving leg is. It's all about being able to load and pressurize this hip by bringing the hip back, opening up, and bringing it almost slightly down, back and down, back and down. And then once we master that loading movement, it really doesn't matter where this leaving leg is. We should always be able to load, pressurize this hip, getting us ready to move in to our next hip. That way we can move forward. This is the drop-in. I wish you the best of luck with it. Stay blessed, my friends. Coach Hal out.